Anyway, let's talk about other crazy things. Let's get to some news, Riley. What do you got for us today?
Well, we
What a
talked a
Monday.
little bit.
What a Monday.
We were talking about that big Variety article way back last week when we
Yeah.
were talking about Superman, and buried in there, we touched on it a little bit, but they are going to go R-rated for Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad,
Okay.
and they're looking potentially at those characters to possibly spin off, speaking of Joker, into their own separate movies. But R-rated, does it surprise you that Birds of Prey is going to be R-rated?
You know, it's interesting because they don't often introduce a character in a not R-rated movie and then give them an R-rated spin-off. It's happened before, but not often.
Was Suicide Squad, the first one, was that R?
No. That was PG-13.
Got it.
There was talk at one point,
So,
I thought.
but Harley Quinn is a relatively R-rated character in general. You could make her R-rated. I don't think she has to be the way that people think that somebody like a Deadpool needs to be. But I mean, she's like a crazy ass bitch. So for sure, she could go into that R-rated territory. But of the rest of the Birds of Prey, I find her to be the most R-rated, and we've already introduced her as a PG-13. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting what they're doing with then the Black Mask storyline. Is this for violence? Is this for some
So we're gonna see blood.
sensuality? Is this for what? What do we think the R-rated is coming from?
It doesn't say
Language?
much. I bet
I would
it's
hope
going to
it's
be
language.
a little bit of language, maybe a little bit of the gore and stuff from the action that's going to come out of it, but maybe mostly language. Doesn't really say. It just says that they're looking at it for this. Suicide Squad makes a little bit more sense for me as an R rating. James Gunn comes from that world.
And the actual
The title itself kind of lends itself.
yeah, just the premise of it, the fact that these are a group of people who have bombs that explode in their head if they f up because they've already been such crazy villains, like that's pretty raunchy. So I don't know. I think that if it serves the story and the characters, fine, but I don't want them to just be like Joker had an R rating and that did really well. Maybe R ratings are where it's at. What,
That's
Josh?
what it feels
This is the most concerned I've ever seen you about any superhero news ever.
Well, first of all, I haven't talked about movies with anybody for a while, so I'm getting my traction a little bit. I'm thinking in my head.
You need
Okay.
a refresher course?
No.
Not
First
gonna
of all,
dust off.
I'm really.
That's even condescending.
What?
Do you need a refresher course?
Oh,
My
yeah.
apologies, sir. I'm very sorry.
I didn't really take it personally because I don't take anything personally unless you try to get me fired on Reddit. But
That's personal.
it's personal. No, okay. So we were here when we reviewed that first Birds of Prey trailer. Okay, the Birds of Preyler.
Birds of Preyler. I like.
Is that Jurassic Park?
The
sound?
puns are back.
Oh, I think that was just a hawk.
It's a bird
It
of prey.
is a hawk. Good job, John.
Thank you. I know my Birds of Prey. Da, 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 da.
We need.
Wow. Name one Hawk character in the DC universe.
Hawk Girl
There we go.
Fucking nailed it.
Nailed it.
and Hawk
And
Man.
Hawkman.
Because they were brother and sister in Arrow or Flash. One of the Bird Legends of Tomorrow.
It's tough because they were
Birds
they were
Tomorrow?
they were hardcore in love and not brother and sister,
Oh,
and
right.
it was Legends of Tomorrow.
There we go.
Yikes.
Nailed it.
Woof, but that's
Yeah.
what you took from it.
Yeah.
When they were effing each other.
Hey,
Yes.
it worked for Luke and Leia.
MB
so-
on that one. MB.
Didn't work for Luke and Leia. That's the whole problem.
You're right.
You're
You're
right.
right.
You're right.
Continue.
You're right. I know you're right.
So, and I'm kind of upset that you didn't like the fact that I think we should get a remix of like the Bad Birds, and like they all do like a music video because I think they need a little more promo that's singularly Birds of Prey because I think what we're getting at with the Birds of Prey is we're like a lot of people that were soured by Suicide Squad were like, oh, this is another one of these
Yeah.
because Margot Robbie, who is absolutely pretty much amazing in everything she does. I finally watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Absolutely love that movie.
Isn't that great?
Love that movie. I have trouble sometimes with Quentin Tarantino's like alternate history of how things end, but I love how he does it every time. Like when they blew up Hitler and then they lit the Manson people on fire. It's a shame they didn't let Charlie Manson on fire. Anyway, that's besides the point. This Birds of Prey, I think, needs like a little bit of a separation from these franchises. 'Cause
So you liked R-rated because it gives it the edge.
Agreed. I think that we saw what an R-rated thing can do with the Joker, right? I think that if we go with this with a little less like we're just Birds of Prey and it's like hardcore violence, action, like making these girls bad freaking ass, like showing blood, having them swear, totally sexual. I'm not saying like sexualize them or anything like that, but if they're going to be villainous women, be villainous women.
Own it.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. The one thing that I don't think they're gonna do, but that would make me nervous is this is the first female multi-group centered DC movie in this new incantation, yeah, however you want to phrase that. And R-rated, it could be language, it could be violence, or it could be sexuality. And I think that if this becomes R-rated because we've got all these women at the helm and it's going with these are women who fuck whoever they want, do whatever they want. Like, I don't need to see multiple sex scenes from these women.
No, I don't think so
I don't
either.
think that's what they're doing.
No.
But when I heard R-rated, I was like, I do hope that this is because Harley Quinn is ridiculously violent and careless and swears like a trucker.
I'm with that.
And not for any other reason.
That's why I said sexualized.
Yeah.
Totally third. I want violence. I want the language. I want this to be what villainous women would sound like. I don't need to be PG-13'd on this.
And Black Mask is a mobster, so we've got all that stuff
Totally.
going on too, drugs and
Like, you watch The Boys on Amazon?
of course
so
I'm
great.
obsessed with the boys.
It's incredible. I would love to see violence like The Boys from Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
And I know that's
Same.
asking a lot, especially from the
But
DCU.
they have a bigger budget.
But if we've seen anything from Watchmen, we've seen some effing violence.
Yeah. Yeah. Holy
Right?